Welcome to the series Research Without Tears. If you're watching this, you're probably a student in one of my history classes, and you're to be congratulated that you're watching this because it can really help you do a great research paper and get a great grade. So in this first episode, I want to talk about why am I making you do a research paper? And if you're outlining, which I hope that you are because you'll get a grade on the outline that you turn in, you'll see that there are 3 sections to this first short video. First, I'm going to talk about what is a research paper. Then I'm going to talk about, kind of tongue-in-cheek, what is a college student. And then I'm going to discuss some of the advantages to doing a research paper as a college student. So first point, what is a research paper? It's not an essay that you throw together. It's not something that you copy out of the Encyclopedia Britannica and turn in with your name on it. It's actually something that you spend a fair amount of time creating. It's a coherent piece of work that's carefully structured, that's well documented in a way that combines research, your thought, and good writing and organization. It usually creates new meaning from sources that you gather from a number of different places and then you recombine in some new ways. And it connects evidence and analysis to some of the larger themes and ideas in the class so that it enables you and your readers to draw sound and reasonable conclusions about some historical topic. So that's what I define as a research paper, and that's what I'm looking for as your end product. The second point, what's a college student? Kind of tongue-in-cheek, but maybe you and I have a different definition of that, so let's talk about that. So college students are generally, in my hopes and in my experiences, people who are eager to learn and grow and develop as human beings. They want to learn skills that are going to last them their whole life, and they are very capable of more than just, texting through their day or kicking back and watching television. College students have minds that are capable of critical thinking, and because of that, college students are willing to deepen their experience through research and learning. They don't just want to kind of skim over the surface and get the grade. They actually want to learn something. That's kind of the curiosity that I think is inherent in being in college. And I really hope that you can find that that curiosity is nourished in this class. So the third point that I want to make is that you can learn some very important skills in doing a research paper, which is really the kind of base answer of why I'm making you do it. I'm going to discuss 4 kinds of skills that you can learn. The first skill set includes personal skills. Research takes a lot of patience. You can't sit down in one session and come up with a good research paper. You lose your way. You find it again, you lose a thread, you have to start another thread. Research really requires patience and perseverance. So that's a really important skill that the research papers in my class, I hope, reinforce. A second skill that I can't emphasize enough is asking for help. It may be that you've done a million research papers, or maybe you've never done any. But my research papers in my class may be different from what you've been asked to do in the past, and it may be really important for us to become closer. You need to come in and ask if you're confused, if you're starting to fall behind. I don't expect that you already have all of the skills that I'm going to ask you to use, so I really do need you to tell me when you need help and to come and get that help. That's really an important skill, and that's a skill that'll serve you well in the rest of your college career and in life in general. A third personal skill is being able to focus both on the small details and on the big picture. You're going to be looking for little pieces of evidence, but you're also going to have a sense of how each of those little pieces fits into the bigger picture that you're trying to create of your research topic. So that's a very important skill, to be able to go back and forth between the small and the big. A fourth personal skill is to deepen your understanding of what a long research process can be and how it can kind of help you develop. And a fifth skill, which we've already referred to, and I want to explicitly say, is besides being patient and deepening your understanding, a good research project can also teach you how to be persistent. You can't type something into Google and only 2 bad things come up and you kind of give up. Research requires that you keep trying in new ways, you try from different angles, you think of some different terms to try. You really need to be persistent. And then I guess the last personal skill that I hope the research assignment can teach you is real appreciation for the rewards of research that takes a while, that you can't just do, you can't knock it off in 5 minutes, but you really have to dig. You have to really kind of look for the information. You have to spend some time kind of educating yourself about the contextual information that you need in order to get the specifics that you're looking for. So those are personal skills that will serve you well in any kind of career. If you go into academia or if you go into the professions, those are really great personal skills, and I'm hoping that the research paper can help you with those. But a research paper also, and maybe this is its best known attribute, can help you with critical thinking skills. When you're doing a research paper, you can really, number one, improve your analysis skills. You're going to be able to analyze whether a given piece of data tells you more or tells you what you need to know or tells you enough about a topic. So you're also going to be using and developing evaluation skills. You know, should I use this piece of data, or should I use this piece, or should I combine them in some way? How should I use each piece of evidence? Very importantly, another critical thinking skill is to be able to make connections. If you have a piece of data that proves something, then you have another piece of data that proves something else, how do those two things connect? How are you going to get from one to another? That's a huge, huge skill in academia and in life that a research paper can help you kind of slow down and learn how to do. Another critical thinking skill is pattern recognition. If you can kind of see, oh, there are 3 or 4 things that are kind of falling into a certain category, and then there's some other things that may help me create a different category or a new pattern, those are really great organizational critical thinking abilities that you can apply widely in your academic career. The last critical thinking skill is recognition of where information that you're finding either fits into the picture that you're drawing or the pattern that you've created, or doesn't fit into it, so that you can kind of decide, okay, so I'm putting this here, or no, I'm going to take this to the side and make a whole new kind of piece of the paper about that. Those are all really, really important skills. The third skill set that a research paper can help you with is another very important skill set. That's your organizational skills. In history, we emphasize what's called chronological thinking. You start at the beginning of something and you move through it in a chronological way forward in time. And you can apply that in a million ways in most research papers. And in most of my assignments, there's at least some segment of what I'm asking for that requires some chronological thinking. So you need to kind of organize your thoughts chronologically at some point in your paper. Another organizational skill is the classification of evidence. If you have 4 reasons and 3 motives and 5 results, then you can organize those into motives and results, and you can kind of see where different things are going to go. So you learn to kind of think about your evidence in terms of how is this going to fit and where is it going to fit. And then last but not least, in terms of organizational skills, I found that students often come into the class without strong outlining skills. They can't kind of create an overall picture of where they're going so that they'll know where to tuck different small pieces of information that they're getting. And that's just an invaluable skill that we're going to spend a fair amount of time practicing in prior assignments so that when you get to your research assignment, you'll be really good at creating outlines that are kind of, frameworks for where you want to go. The last skill set for a research paper in my class that I hope to encourage is the writing skill. First of all, you'll learn to write from an outline. If you've created a good outline, it's going to really help you write, and it's going to really help you learn how to put things into an order that works. You're also going to learn the writing skills that are involved in introducing, connecting, and explaining information. You can't just kind of throw it on the page and have it speak to the reader. It needs to be introduced and then connected to other stuff that came before it or stuff that's going to come after. And then sometimes it needs to be explained because it's not enough on its own. And then the last writing skill is to analyze and postulate new meanings. If something like this happened in history, what might that mean for people who came afterwards or people who lived through that situation? You're going to be kind of looking for ways to take your data and analyze and kind of expand your thought about that data. So those are the reasons I'm making you do a research paper. Needless to say, there's one other really big reason, and that's kind of symbolized by the beautiful picture behind me of weaving from the Andes, and that's that you can go to a wonderful new place and learn some really exciting and interesting information that could be very meaningful to you. So I assume that you knew that reason. I didn't have to put that in the outline, but I hope that you find that that's a reason for you to work and do a good job on your research paper.